Environmental justice is more than an idea. It's a movement. It's a movement that recognizes no matter who you are or where you live, everyone deserves clean air, safe water, and a healthy environment to call home. And yet, some communities are far more impacted from pollution, the effects of climate change, and environmental contamination, despite having contributed to them the least, or having benefited from the industries causing them. Environmental justice is still a major issue in Canada today, and as the United Nations recently found, Indigenous peoples in particular find themselves on the wrong side of a toxic divide, subject to conditions that would not be acceptable in respect of other groups in Canada. Today, I want to share 3 key principles of environmental justice with you and show you why it's not just a legal concept, but a pathway toward a more fair and kind future. You'll also hear from Indigenous leaders and community voices who are helping us get there. One of the pillars of environmental justice is distributional justice. This means we must ask who benefits from environmental protections and who bears the burdens of pollution, who gets clean water, and who lives with boil water advisories. While provincial and federal laws say that we have a right to a healthy environment, a lack of enforceability hinders the actual realization of this right, including rights to clean air, access to safe water, and the protection against toxic exposures.
We have a water treatment plant within the community, Ottawapiskat First Nation, and there was a water report study that's there from 2009 to 2019. So that study says that there's toxins in that water. And if I remember, our children get rashes from the water. People get sick. I'm not a doctor, but there's cancer-causing chemicals, toxins in our water system. And I didn't see anybody take that report to somebody to say, okay, your water's no good, and what do we do?
Not only is it a violation of a right, but it's also, in a way, a systematic oppression because they control the standards for our water and they send the people to come in and test it from government-funded organizations. It's one of the essential things that you need to stay alive, and you can't get that at your house, and it's a human right to get that. So when you're living there, when I lived there, not only was it, I guess you want to say a better word for nuisance, but it was a big problem with your health as well, because the water that we did get isn't clean and the best either. And it comes from a pump system that's over 30 years old and not kept up the same way they would do it in cities. A lot of our communities, we have 12 boil advisory around 9 communities. Some with over 30 years, like Nishnandaga or Ottawapiskat. And even though recently the environmental minister cleared Ottawapiskat for it's safe that it's coming out the tap, that's only from diesel fuels.
The second pillar of environmental justice is procedural justice. This principle is about who gets a say and whose voice matters. Knowing your procedural rights is key, and whether you're addressing an elected official, government, or industry, there's 3 rights to remember. 1, you have the right to know when a decision is being contemplated that could impact your health, your environment, or well-being. 2, you have a right to information so that you can have the knowledge about what is being proposed so that you can be informed. 3, you have the right to have a say and to be meaningfully engaged.
Sometimes oppression happens, frustration happens. Maybe some of the people, say myself, my own experience talking with regulators and government officials, it's like talking to a wall. There's no change happens. Yeah. So with people participating with Friends of the Attawapskat River. I think we listen better. There's better communication, and people have a different avenue to get different results. To get results that reflect natural law, yeah, and like to uphold our responsibility, our stewardship, and to proceed that way, like with our avenue going this way, and then government going this way, and we try to respect both, and we try to keep them separate. We keep our Indigenous, our homeland laws separate from the government's, and so they don't get mixed up. And we're trying to we're pushing, we're expecting the government to follow what is being told to them by many people, whether it's from the United Nations or from the weather or from, that they have to listen to Indigenous law. They have to listen to natural law.
In our First Nations communities, there's lack of communication towards the community members. So basically, the grassroots, they want to know what's going on their territory, traditional territory. So that information doesn't come directly. It comes to our First Nations office, our community, our First Nations communities. We have a band office, a First Nations office, and those meetings we don't hear of. They don't share information that what we need, what we want to know is our rights being protected. For example, if they're going to come and work on the traditional territory, we have community members that live in those territories where the claims are being staked right now. So we have traditional territories, people that hunted, sustained livelihood. So it's important what's going on in their backyard. And we don't hear that. We don't know who's what company that's going to take up minerals, right? Or critical minerals.
And a final pillar of environmental justice is recognitional justice. This means naming and confronting the systems that uphold inequality. In June 2024, Canada passed the National Strategy Respecting Environmental Racism and Environmental Justice Act. This is a landmark law that acknowledges that a disproportionate number of people who live in environmentally hazardous areas are members of an Indigenous, racialized, or other marginalized community. This law requires the federal government to meaningfully involve affected communities in addressing environmental racism and promoting real change.
We have to deal with greed because it takes away from the future too much, leaving the future with nothing. So we should cap what people can make for the profits. And we should increase cultural revitalization because the culture benefits everybody involved. And also environment protection. Environment protection, again, helps everybody that's involved. So culture protection, environment protection, lower profits. That's Indigenous led.
I know I had an idea to call it Indigenous Waters Authority. So like Iowa, something like that in the future. But we're kind of playing on their own time and when they want to do things. And I believe having this authority or this body You can ask for someone and they'll be there within the week to test the water. And if they have the right degree or the knowledge, they'll be able to tell you what you need to do. And we can get onto action for that and get a problem that's been outstanding for 30 years fixed within a few months, a few weeks, because it's your own people. We know the issues, we know the problems, and we know what's happening because of the wild boil advisory. But we're still waiting on these organizations to send people.
At its heart, environmental justice requires that the benefits and impacts of projects be borne equitably amongst all people. Together, let's make sure these principles that have arguably always been required by Canadian law are upheld. Thanks for joining us. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and check out the links in the description below to watch the other videos in our series and access the materials in our resource library.